Welcome to the September 18th meeting of the East Hempfield Township Traffic Commission. This meeting will be recorded and Robert's Rules of Order will apply. I'd ask you at this time to please stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Okay. First up, action item, let's approve the minutes of our August the 21st Traffic Commission meeting. Any comment from the board members?
No.
Hearing none. Any comment from the staff or the audience? Hearing none. I'll entertain a motion to approve the August 21st Traffic Commission minutes.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Johnson, a second from Mr. Wigglesworth. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Traffic report. Cindy or the chief?
Sure.
Chief.
Over the last month, we hit a lot of the same locations that have been reoccurring here for the past few months. Gave some time, effort to all of them.
Are we seeing any data that will change our thinking or the appearance of things on these
Sure.
roads?
Between Farmdale, Orville, and Running Pump, I know both those are up for discussion with the traffic engineer. We're waiting for some feedback for both of those. Stony Battery Road, we continue to have a strong visibility and presence there when we can. I would say there hasn't been a huge reduction in the speeds, but we've been out there and hopefully we're making a little bit of a difference that we can.
So just in looking at it, South Colebrook, is the average speed, is that right? 22?
Sorry, you went to the speed studies. Sorry, I was on the. So no, that is not right.
Okay, I didn't think
Let
so.
me, no, it's probably 52. Let me pull
looks
data
good.
quick. What's that?
It looks good.
Yeah, I can pull that data. Give me 1 second. If I had a.
That should be 44.
Yeah, your actual study shows 44.
44.
Can't tell you where I got 22 from.
It happens, typo, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes more sense.
So as
Well,
far.
real time.
As far as the speed studies then, just moving right into those, the New Street and Split Rail were a result of some complaints that came in both to the township side and to the police department. Trying to navigate whether or not that's a perception or a traffic volume increase, which therefore then appears to be a slight increase in speed, but definitely a volume based on some of the new communities that have been put in place over there. And we have worked with the homeowners association to put some reminders in their newsletters for residents to monitor speeds.
So that's it with traditions.
Mhm.
It really doesn't look like there's an issue, right? No.
Correct.
And this is at Split Rail, right?
Both New Street and Split Rail.
Okay, there, and traditions.
Yes, and we've also done Blacksmith Way, so we've kind of hit all the surrounding streets in there.
And I guess I would say we've done 1 or 2 speed studies on these streets.
We've done one.
1, okay.
Some of them were done a couple years ago, but as far as the complex continues to grow, I would say it's a couple of them we've done once or twice a year or in the past, so.
So is there a recommendation to maybe do another one and then evaluate? And if we don't see any difference, then, that would be it. We could move on to somewhere else.
we can absolutely do another one in the next, maybe in the
I mean,
spring.
I'm not saying to do it. I'm just saying
No, it doesn't,
it just, once, I mean, gives you some information, but if you get the same information the second
Multiple
time, then
times.
you're pretty sure.
more than happy to put them out in a few months.
Okay, perfect.
Chief, question about that area. I hadn't really thought about this before, but to get there from East Hempfield, you have to drive through East Petersburg, right? Yeah. So do they get patrolled pretty much the same frequency as East Hempfield, this part does, like,
Most likely, no. I'm sure some of those neighborhoods over there don't have as much visibility as some of the neighborhoods directly here in the township.
yeah. Okay. And I'm not suggesting anything by that, just curious if, how that works.
Okay, any other additional comment on the traffic report or the speed studies? Anything from the audience tonight? Hearing none, then we'll move on to old business. And first up will be Farmingdale Road.
So if we want to switch it to Tulane and Wilson, since Mrs. Bolt was here,
Okay.
she did provide you with a drawing that they had results after their meeting they had last week, maybe? Yeah. That they would be willing to move their path and create a landing pad for wheelchairs. And we also got quotes. Perry worked up a quote for the curbing and moving the stop sign that we had talked about last meeting. And that quote is $6,350, which involves Public Works doing some of the excavating.
And I'm assuming where they're moving the pad to works for us.
Yeah, so Perry hasn't seen it. Perry, it's between the two drainage catch basins.
Yeah, definitely. That was the spot that we were looking at. The curb that I was proposing and looked at has the curb cut straight across from right between the two inlets. So they would have to go just directly in the grass behind those. And it is a level area right between there. So that would work out.
There's the original.
Harry, I sent you a picture of what they supplied.
So our price of $6,350 does not include the crosswalk and the landing.
Do we know what that would cost?
Perry, can you give us I think he mentioned last meeting, probably under 10.
Well,
Budget.
for both sides, it all depends on the elevation, I guess going into the parking lot of the shopping center. Their side is fairly flat. They might have to put some sort of a knee wall, because of their, drainage basin is kind of right there. So they might have to put a small block wall up. So, I mean, it could touch 10. And I'm assuming they're going to put a concrete walkway to their, where the path completely ends now. Because I don't think they can do it the way the drawing is there now. They can't, I don't think they can get through their storm basin. If you're looking at I don't know if you guys can see the drawing itself, but I'm not sure they can go straight up over top of that.
In the new depiction or the old one?
The one that I'm not sure, the one that Miss Garber just sent me, it's showing the landing pad between the two basins, and then looks like they're going right up over top of the storm basin itself that's there.
Yeah, they likely probably have to come straight out to the curb, what would be the curb line, then over.
Yeah, they could probably fit the landing pad there, and then they would have to, head west to go closer to the path that they have now. Because there is a sharp increase directly behind their landing pad there.
May I provide some information?
Sure.
Can you just give your name and?
I'm Jean Bowl, and I'm from the Lancaster Friends meeting. We have, my drawing is not perfect, but we have had professional folks out to give us estimates, and the general path outlined there is correct. We can go straight back quite a ways before we get to the detention basin. So that's shown here. We would go straight back and then we would head west, and then it would join our current path and then head up towards the building. So yes, we would not be going along the street there. We had planned a path around the basin anyway, a walking path. So we're just choosing to come down to the street from that walking path instead of straight down.
I would generally recommend that, if you had a professional look at this, that we would have to see some sort of a drawing with, again, showing the percentage of fall from that, because again, looking at that, I believe there's a sharp increase going uphill. Again, once it's out of the right of way, it is the responsibility of the landowner then. So I guess as long as the landing pad is within the 2%, then I guess it would be up to whatever you would want to create there. But the other side also needs the same thing. It needs a landing pad with a grade going down to match the blacktop into their parking lot.
I don't recall any grade on the parking lot side. And I
Yeah,
walked.
there is like it's a dip in there for water to come down around and into that. I don't believe that would be handicap accessible either. So again, I believe anything you do should be drawn up and stamped by an engineer to certify that it would be handicap accessible.
Is that something that we are required to do, or since it's on our property, we're not required to do?
Again, in speaking with the shopping center people, I
No,
think they would
that-
be amenable to whatever you would want to do there, but I'm sure they would want it to be professionally certified.
I'm not talking about the parking lot side because it's not our property. I was talking about only the church property on the north.
That would be up to the board of supervisors then to decide if they would want to pay for that side. That would be something that both sides would have to be done in order for us to properly allow crossing there at the street.
Anything in our right of way would have to be fully ADA accessible. So once you get outside the right of way, your path doesn't necessarily have to be.
It was my understanding from the last meeting that you were asking us to cover the costs on our side of the street. So that is what I presented to our meeting. And that involved getting prices for the landing pad and the modified path direction, but we do not have engineering plans.
Well, how would you know how much it costs if you haven't had an engineer assess the work to be done?
We've had landscape companies come. I think we've had 3 different quotes.
So how much more engineering is going to be involved if we put the crosswalk in? We're going to have to do the engineering for the street, right?
We don't, because
no-
we're not doing anything ADA accessible other than the curb cut.
Yeah, nothing for the street that we wouldn't have to do anything other than the line painting. Again, if the board would want to pay for that also. Again, putting both sides of these in, there are no other handicap accessible ramps, within that area. So, there would be just a lot more than just painting lines across the street. So, on our part, the curb wouldn't be bad. That's not hard to do, but, again,
I just want
both
to back
sides have to be handicap accessible in order to put this in.
and make sure that I'm clear on what we're talking about and not getting confused. So we're talking about option one, right? The curb and moving the side stop sign.
Correct.
Great, that's an option.
6350.
6350 to do that. To put in a crosswalk would be approximately 10,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that's a rough estimate, right?
That's a guess, yes.
Yes. Do we have to do engineering at all on our end to put in a crosswalk?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, just putting in the curb and the stop sign, you would not.
Okay.
The moment you place two lines across the street and make it a crosswalk, that's when it becomes the ADA issue.
Okay. All right.
And I really think since we did the improvements and we moved the stop sign forward, the line of sight will be much better.
Okay.
I don't know. And particularly since there's very little traffic on that roadway, to actually put two ADA pads and a crosswalk. And someplace that, any place else, we don't have them. Even busier streets, we don't have them. I think we've done the improvements as best we can with what we have to work with, given the Friends' need and the level of traffic flow.
Okay. So did we move the stop sign already?
No,
Okay.
it needs a curb protection.
Okay. So the curb and moving the stop sign, we're ready to do, and that's
6,300.
6,300.
Yep.
Okay. So then and if I hear you right, that perhaps we do that, assess it, and see if that takes care of the issue before we go the extra mile of doing engineering and pads and other things.
Correct.
Okay. And can this be done before the end of this year, or are we into next year for this project? If we were to,
Harry, I think we're in this year for the project.
Yeah, concrete guys, maybe 3 weeks out, 4 at the most. I think we could squeeze that in. That's not a big deal.
and if we do it this way, Perry, is there any additional costs that we're going to incur for not doing it all at once?
No, I can put the curb cut in, with the curb, and that will be placed in the proper area. Again, then at that point, it would be up to the board or the church how they would want to handle the rest.
I'm in favor of moving along those lines. You do the curb and the stop sign. At the same time, the property owner will make the modifications here. The only request we're gonna have is that,
She doesn't have to do anything yet. Until we do right, unless we do a crosswalk.
in my view, I think they should do the modifications on their side of the road.
Okay.
To get them, things in position that if we have to come back and incur some additional expense with an improvement, it all connects and sort of falls into place. It's just doing things maybe, rather than all at once, step 1, step 2, step 3.
If they put in their side, again, you can't cross the street and get into the shopping center parking lot without doing that side. I would strongly agree or strongly suggest you not putting a crosswalk in until both sides are completely finished. And again, also in speaking with the shopping center owners, they could find no record of allowing the church to park there. They would be amenable to it, I think they said, but any modification to their parking lot side, I think they would have to agree to that. So whether who does it, we would have to get them involved because it is going to involve going into their parking lot. So
Believe it shows up in the, last time, I had the date of the minutes of this commission, that got the documentation that we had the right to park there from the shopping center folks.
Perry, again, one more question. If we're just doing the curb and moving the stop sign, do they need to do anything on their side?
not for just us moving the stop sign up for better visibility. No, we can put the curb cut in, which doesn't indicate really anything. It's just a curb. Again, once you paint the lines across and indicate that it's a crosswalk,
Mhm.
that's when both sides need to have
that
an
pad.
ADA. Yeah. And again, I don't think we found anything as far as paperwork showing anything from the shopping center. I don't believe we've ever found any of that evidence.
I believe we had the exact date that this commission has it in the minutes. I didn't bring that paper with me, but I know that I've brought it before this commission before.
So that's another issue that I don't think that really is going to concern us, that part of it. But I'm inclined I think it makes sense for your organization as well, not to incur the cost, to take a wait and see approach. If this can be done this year, where the stop sign's moved and a curb cut's put in, let's see if you have any issues, and then we can revisit it again next year. It saves you from incurring costs. It saves us from incurring costs, and hopefully this solves the problem.
Great. So we are not required to put in the pad.
Not at this point. If you
Okay.
come back to us and say that we need a crosswalk, right? Am I correct on that? If you come back to us and say, we still don't feel it's safe, we need a crosswalk there,
Okay.
that's when you're going to have to do the engineering on your property, put in the pad. But I think for now, what our staff is saying, and I agree with, that let's try this fix. It seems simple and it seems like it will solve the problem. Let's try that and see where we're at.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Any comment from staff? Any comment from the audience? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve moving the stop sign and
Mr.
providing some
Bennett, can you
curbing.
please pull your mic closer? We can't hear you.
Excuse me. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to move a stop sign and build a curb on Wilson Avenue and 2-lane.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Wigglesworth. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Johnson. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we'll move forward on that and get that moving. To start. You bet. Okay, next up, Farmingdale and Barcrest.
So
Continue.
you tasked staff to go back and see what details we could find and get some cost estimates and a path forward. So the tables, they're actually speed tables, not humps. The speed table specifications we did find, they were to be 4 feet in height. These are 6. So the theory would be to scale them back to inches, feet. Yeah, that's a little high. I feel like they're high, but so the idea would be to reduce them by 2 inches. And Perry has suggested that a milling machine would be the way to go with that. The cost there would be between 6,000 and 7,000 to do all three. There is concern, though, that that is not a compacted roadway, and when you shave off the top of those, it could be rough. There's no guarantee as to what those look like.
And we've had, if I remember correctly from our last discussion on this, no complaints. Is that right? Or no recent complaints about those?
Other than emergency vehicles, the PPL vehicle, that was the most recent, I think, of the last storm.
Complaints about having difficulty getting over them.
Right.
Is that what you're?
Well,
Mm.
yeah.
But speeding complaints, no.
And no accidents, safe road,
Yeah,
no
no
real
accidents.
issues. Okay. Any, Bob?
So not being in compliance with PennDOT, is that like an enforceable issue that we need to address, or is just more of a recommendation?
It does expose us to a possible liability concern. Should there be an accident there that involves the tables and they are found to be out of compliance with PennDOT standards, there could be liability. Hasn't happened, but
And they've been in how long now? 3 years, 4 years?
Perry, 3 years? Or, no, probably 2019. January of 2019.
January 2019.
You would think, you would think the higher table would reduce accidents or the likelihood of accidents.
Well, maybe it has, maybe it hasn't, but
Yeah.
certainly we haven't had any. There doesn't seem to be an issue with the residents in terms of the height. We do acknowledge that emergency vehicles, PP&L, it's a little more difficult for them to traverse the road, but I guess I, for one, I'm probably okay with that. I think, and, you know, and basically where I think I'm at on this whole issue is, if it isn't broke, let's not try to fix it. You know, I think, the speed tables are doing their job, slowing the traffic. We may have if we do start milling them, we may have an issue, a bigger problem, may have created a bigger problem. And for those reasons, I think we'll just, you know, leave them the way they are.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I don't know how to gauge the, you know, the risk. So, but that, what you said makes sense. The risk of the
Well, you
PennDOT
know,
non-compliance.
Risking everything. I mean, I don't want to minimize it, but you know, we haven't seen any issues. Haven't heard of any issues, so I think we're okay. I think, you know, as things change, and time goes on, you know, maybe we will have to do something. But, you know, I don't think, given the situation right now, now's the time to be, making a change.
Okay, I'm
So,
fine with that.
so with that, just table it? Is that the proper procedure? Do nothing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe I should ask for some,
There's been no one on Zoom that's
No?
provided any request for comment.
no interested parties?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Old Orstown Road.
So we haven't actually put the signage out that you requested us to do. Perry is still looking at that signage and how much is out there now and how much we need to add, and does that make sense? Even though our engineer said that that would be the likely solution, or not solution, but the next avenue of approach. So I don't know, Perry, if you have any update on that, or if you're still kind of
I
evaluating.
looked at it several times. If you're coming up Roarstown Road, there's a sign that says no right turn. If you're at the intersection, there are 3 do not enter signs. And there are 2 one-way signs. I don't know how many more signs. If you can't see those and don't obey them, you're just not interested in obeying a sign. So, at this point, I could hang as many signs as you want on there, but, if you would see a picture, like if you're pulling out of, Lowe's and you look across the street, it's sign heaven. They're just everywhere. So, again, I will do whatever you want, but, like I said, I think the people that are doing this are doing it intentionally. They know, that they're not going to get caught, or they're taking the chance.
Any other comment?
I think it speaks for itself.
Yeah. We'll put a toll on there.
Yeah.
Failing that, that's another one I think we'll just leave alone, right? For now, again, things change in the future, but right now I don't think there's too much more we can do to improve the efficiency of the intersection. Okay. Any new business out there tonight? Hearing none, let's move on to public comment. Do we have any public comment from residents or taxpayers of East Hempfield Township?
I have no requests on Zoom.
Okay. Hearing none, then we'll adjourn the meeting at 6:34.